morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, Out of Voice Radio. So today, we are continuing our look at all the good cards in Ultra Prism by looking at Electivire. And Electivire has something going for it, shall we say. It's got a pretty good attack. So starting off, 140 HP, pretty good for a stage 1. Retreat cost of 4 is very heavy, but, you know, heavy ball, not the worst thing ever. It is weak to fighting, and this kind of sucks because Buzzwole is seeing a lot of play at the moment and is likely to continue seeing play. And then, of course, we've got Gallade that sees quite a lot of play in Gardevoir decks, which kind of sucks. And Silvally can use Fighting Memory to become a fighting type, get a KO that way. Not a great weakness to have, but, well, you can't unfortunately do much about your weakness. So fingers crossed you avoid all the Buzzwole. Resistance to metal is very nice because of Registeel, and it does fit the theme of Electivire being a really anti-metal Pokemon. And it is a lightning type, which means you're hitting weakness against Pokemon like Ho-Oh and Empoleon. And in case I haven't made it clear enough in a couple of the recent videos I've done, I am a huge fan of the new Empoleon, and I think it's going to be very good indeed. You should also remember that playing a lightning type Pokemon does mean you get Raikou, which is nice because it just accelerates energy quite nicely. So the first attack here for a lightning and 2 colourless energy, meaning that you can use double colourless if you so wish. 60 damage. If the defending Pokemon is a metal type, they are paralysed. This is very, very tasty. Automatic paralysis on all metal type Pokemon, and automatic paralysis has always been good. Excelgor back in the day saw a lot of play. Vanillux saw a lot of play. Now I know Vanillux wasn't technically automatic paralysis, but it gave you a 15 in 16 chance, so I'm willing to say it's as good as automatic. But we also know that automatic paralysis will not be used, will not be played, will not be good if it's too awkward to use. So Mega Beedrill is the recent example that comes to mind here. It looks so good, but it's just not quite good enough. 2 energy, 40 damage, automatic paralysis, and poison. 4 damage counters between turns rather than the usual 1. But you got to discard all the energy and then redo it every turn. And some people said this would see play with Venusaur, but unfortunately, as we're sitting here at the moment, that hasn't happened. Anyway, let's stick to Electivire. That is the focus of today's video. Clearly, this is going to be very good against metal-type Pokemon. And this is incredibly relevant because if you've been watching my videos lately, and I hope you have, metal-type Pokemon are really getting a boost in Ultra Prism and around that time. We've got a new Solgaleo GX coming out that does 120 damage for a double colourless while attaching 2 energy from your discard to one of your bench Pokemon. And it's got an ability that removes weakness from all of your Pokemon. That's pretty gosh darn good. We've got a Magnezone coming out that allows you to attach as many metal energy as you like per turn. And although not everyone's in love with it, I adore Duskmane Necrozma, which will see a lot of play with Magnezone. 4 energy, 220, as long as you're willing to discard 2 of them. And I am very much willing to discard, I should say 3. I'm willing to discard 3 of them because you're basically one-hit KOing whatever you like. So this is really quite nice. And quite simply, if you're playing against a metal deck here, you could just lock them out of the game by using this attack over and over again. But there are a bunch of ways around this, and there is a question here. Are there too many ways around this? So Solgaleo from Sun and Moon has an ability that is just a switch. Ultra Road is just a switch, which can be really quite annoying because, well, the whole point of paralyzing them is they cannot attack or retreat, and then it lasts for a turn, but then the next turn you attack again and paralyze them again. If they can just use a switch every single turn, that is going to hurt. Now, maybe they don't have a Pokemon on the bench that can retreat. Maybe after they switch they don't have an attacker, but all they need to do is play a free retreater like the promo Tapu Koko, and they can Ultra Road into Tapu Koko and retreat every single turn to get around it. That's a bit of a pain. How do you stop them doing that? Well, very simple. How do you stop anyone doing anything ability-wise at the moment? You play Garbodor. But is Garbodor going to be good enough? Is Garbodor getting a little bit too clunky when played with Electivire? Arguably. You could play Chaos Tower, which would mean that you cannot be paralyzed. Now, Chaos Tower is one of these double-sided stadiums. One says you cannot be paralyzed or asleep, and the other side says you cannot be confused or poisoned. So play a Chaos Tower and put you as a side that cannot be paralyzed. That could work. Although one of the great things which is coming in this particular set is Mount Coronet, which is a stadium which is basically an energy retrieval, but only for metal energy. Every turn you just get to take 2 metal energy from your discard and put them into your hand. That is going to be a very, very good stadium, and it's one that I think we can expect to see quite a lot of play in these metal decks, which does mean, unfortunately, that Chaos Tower probably not something you're going to be playing too much. But the other way around this is just attack with Tapu Lele, because Tapu Lele is not a metal Pokemon. So you put a double colourless energy on Tapu Lele, and then you're hitting for 100 against Electivire. 2 double colourless will be 140 and get a KO, but let's not get overly excited about this. Lele hits Electivire for 100 damage. Electivire hits for 60 and doesn't paralyze because it's not a metal type. Tapu Lele gets a KO. It's the same reason why I don't think Glaceon EX is any good. Glaceon's got Crystal Ray, which seems like a good attack, blocking attacks from evolved Pokemon the following turn. Great in theory, but Tapu Lele with a double colourless does 100. So you're 2-hit KOing them, they're 3-hit KOing you. Yeah. Glaceon's not good. Tapu Lele could counter this. But if you can get this to stick, you will just beat metal decks. Now, Sun and Moon Solgaleo and Tapu Lele in combination is going to make it tough to get this to stick, but you can always play Garbodor to turn off Solgaleo. You can always play something to take out Tapu Lele. How about just playing a Tapu Koko GX? Put it down, take the lightning energy off of Electivire, then you get to KO Tapu Lele. If you're prepared, you can counter the counters, so to speak. Either way, if you can get this to stick, you completely shut down metal decks. That alone has got to be a reason to test it. The second attack for 2 lightning and a double colourless, so you just add 1 lightning to your previous attack, 130. Just a flat 130. 4 for 130 is quite expensive, but here's the thing. If it was 140, it would be so much better. But it's not. 140 means you add a choice band and get a KO on Tapu Lele, play a Professor Kukui and get a KO on a Buzzwole or a Turtonator. But we don't have that right now. What we have is 130, which means with a choice band you're hitting 160, which is not particularly good. If you add a Professor Kukui, you're hitting 180 and you'll be getting a KO on something like, I don't know, a Drampa, but it's still not particularly expiring. 140 would make a huge difference here. It's very upsetting that we don't. You can use double colourless energy, which is nice, but the attack's still pretty expensive. You can use this as an occasional big hit. Because the thing is, you don't need to paralyze if you're taking a KO. Essentially, the first attack paralyzes to buy a turn, second attack comes in for the KO. And this is where I think Electivire might come in. First attack you hit for 60, then you hit for 130. Well, now that's a total of 190. Potentially 250 if both those hits had a choice band, and that would actually be enough to take down a Metagross GX, which is cool. But I just worry it's a little bit too clunky. Auto paralysis has got to be worth trying. Not to mention, of course, that every time you paralyze, you essentially buy yourself a turn. So even though these attacks aren't the cheapest, if you're paralyzing every turn, you should be able to buy yourself a turn to set up. And that could be cool. I'm still not 100% sure it's going to work, but I do think it is absolutely worth testing. Metal decks are getting very, very popular, or at least they're going to be. They're already seeing quite a lot of popularity. So you've got to at least think this is worth a try. It's auto paralysis, it's got to be worth trying. Free Wassies. Pop a copy in your binder. be prepared, you may want to use it at some point in the future. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, I need to hear from you guys. Tell me what you think about Electivire. Do you think this might be the metal answer we're not quite waiting for, but will be waiting for when the next set comes out? Even though Electivire will already be out by that point, so we won't really be waiting. You get my point. Let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and so on, you can do so by going to patreon.com/PTCGRadio. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.